basically what we're doing is we're looking to simplify everything. You know, we've been criticized a little bit in the past because there is a lot of flexibility in our systems and a lot of power in our system. Flexibility and power creates confusion. Screens look, you know, they look like, hey, I don't know how to use it, you know, and it also creates the ability for a mistake. You get one rule out of place, looks like your world's coming to an end. So what we're trying to do moving forward is make our screens a lot more intuitive, put a lot more, and Scott's going to talk about this tomorrow in his keynote about support, but put a lot more training out there, free training, so that you guys can sign up for classes. So with all of that, we want very, very self-sufficient users who don't feel the need that every time they press a button, they have to call us and get permission. Newest version. First off, does everyone know about our free refresher courses? Okay, no. Okay, so we have free refresher. Wow. Free refresher courses, training, that basically as a new customer comes on board, you can sign up right along those guys and go through refresher webinars and different things like that. In the new version that you're going to get very shortly, on the help menu, there's a link right to sign up for courses. And there's a catalog and calendar and all kinds of stuff for courses that you're going to be able to come to or get. We also have what we call help outs. Now, Scott's going to go over this big time tomorrow, so I'm just going to mention it. And a help out is something exactly that. Hey, I don't see a course on it. I have a question. It's not an emergency to call support because we want to leave support open for emergencies. So we definitely don't want Gary or one of the support guys, everyone knows Gary, right? Everyone's talked to him at least once. We don't want Gary to be hung up on training because someone does it. So if it's not an emergency, if it's an emergency, call. Please call. But if it's not an emergency, sign up for a help out session. It's going to ask you kind of what do you want to talk about and different things like that. And then we'll match up who the right person for you to talk to. But the reason I bring all that up is we do have a YouTube channel. And we'll do the exact same thing. We'll put those YouTube videos. Scott, we can do that, right? We can put those YouTube videos right on the same screen.
Okay.
Right in the same help menu.
That's awesome.
Okay, great. So right now we're in one location. In New Jersey, we have everything about that. It's not my garage. It's a real live data hosting center. Matter of fact, before I get into that, it was the only hosting center that stayed up totally during Hurricane Sandy. Even Google came down for a couple minutes. So our data center was up and running during the whole time. Matter of fact, after that, we had a boatload of departments going to our hosting center. But yes, that, you know, right now it's got 5 servers there. We have 5 servers there, 2 database servers. If something should happen, we could easily move it from one server to another. We had a little small glitch about 2 years ago. There were professionals there. They were able to get it up and running, you know, very quickly. That was with our application service. So we don't do that model anymore unless you're a legacy customer. But moving forward, we are going to be signing a contract with Microsoft, with the Azure cloud, and that would give us a huge advantage to just not only moving things if something should happen, but we're going to offload the maintenance or the the management over to their cloud. There's disadvantages to that too, you know, and we'll ask you which would you rather be in our hosting center where it's only our data and our people and we own the servers and stuff like that, or do you want to go over to Microsoft and do it that way? But that is our future plan. A couple reasons for that. Sorry. We're also looking at other locations in other parts of the country, because that's also very important for us as well, to not only just be located in one data center in the middle of New Jersey.
Okay, thanks.
You won't be able to take advantage of a couple of the things that we're doing. Your upgrades and everything will be will come a little later than everybody else. You'll probably have to still do your own upgrades or wait for us to get around to doing it. And I don't mean that in a mean way, getting around to doing it. I mean, you'll be put on a schedule for other people that are non-hosted. But if you did come hosted, we still could talk to the subpoena tracker for Sacramento County. Oh, we absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah, we will set up that link. We currently do that with Camden Police. They wanted us to talk to their pattern record system, and we just set up a link, and absolutely it can be done.
Okay.
What we'll probably have to do is put piece of software on a machine in your building, just like a computer. So we'll put a piece of software that will be connected to our cloud. It'll come through the cloud and then go up to Sac County Sheriff reports. I mean, every single product that we have, came from a problem and a solution. And probably my favorite, part of the system that we have is our open chips. It's something that if you're not using it, you really should use it. And a couple reasons is it's designed to be very, very efficient. It takes, you put out a need for something and you look for takers. Before, in the old days, we used to have to call on the phone and find, I mentioned this earlier in my first talk, we had to call it and just ask people, do you want to work? 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 It takes an awful lot of time. So we started with the open chips, and I can't remember who exactly that was, but I do know that Plymouth, Minnesota really took it to the next level, and now there's a captain over there who doesn't even mention anything about overtime. It's just a known thing that if someone's looking for work, they go to the web and they sign up for an open chip, and they did some work on it, did some playing around, and they set up a rule that says I'm only allowed to take 2 overtime jobs in 24 hours. So I can pick a job right now at 4 o'clock, and I can pick another job, but I can't pick anything else for 24 hours. Now, you can do that for extra duty, you can do that for open shifts, you can really do that for anything, and it just takes a very streamlined process. There's no approving it. It's set up in a way where the amount of work that they have compared to the amount of police officers that they have, it's just very, very fair. They had a huge problem with the union, like I assume everyone would in this room. Huge problem with the union, and believe it or not, the union thought it was a good idea. It wasn't a hard sale at all, because they didn't want to be tied to their phones anymore. Now, that's Plymouth, Minnesota. I think that we probably have the same feelings here. Probably another one that I would mention that it's been growing and it has become very, very successful, it would be our payroll interface. That's something that, we started out just doing timesheets, hand over a timesheet to someone in payroll, they'd punch it in, they'd have to figure out all the rules, they would have to just do everything. People were getting paid incorrectly, but not knowing they were getting paid incorrectly. Then we started looking at it and saying, hey, there's rules we can put into it. We can export this right over into payroll, and probably, again, turned into a very efficient system, but uncovered a lot of rules, a lot of things that we've been doing wrong for years, which uncovered a lot of other problems that we have. Because now all of a sudden, the paper person says it should be $2. You say it should be $1.50. Obviously, we're wrong. So we had to go through and prove it, but we prove it enough times, then they started trusting the system a lot better than they trusted the person who was doing it with paper. So another success story. Smartphone was basically an experiment. You had to have our cloud to be on that smartphone. For security purposes, we had that. We couldn't have Google putting out an update and you don't have the updated database, so it probably would fail. So it was an experiment that actually went over very, very well. We outsourced it. We outsourced the Google version, and we outsourced to another group the Apple one. So we're beginning to develop that in-house now. We're going to a new platform that you're going to be able to do both together. So this is an important reason I bring this up, and Simon knows a lot more about it. But as we develop features on the web, we should be able to also develop the features on the smartphone. So, to make a long story short, it was a great success. It's designed only for individual users right now, but our definite plans would be to move it up to supervisors. So they can look at it and they can start managing their schedules and doing things like that. Now, this isn't necessarily with the smartphone app, but one of the other things that we're planning on doing is, when you get a text saying, hey, such and such would like to take the day off today.
They request it off.
The day requested off, and you get the text or you get the email. Well, we are going to put a link on that would allow you to approve it right then and there.
Ooh, that would be good.
That's actually a really cool question. I like that question. I was working in New York City at the time as a programmer, and it was Y2K, and I was working very hard. And my boss was too, but he was making a lot more money than me. So, luckily we were doing some work, and I always thought myself as basically a risk taker. So this opportunity came up, and I took it, and it grew little by little over from 98 to 2001. It just grew. No one knows this, we were Summit Computer Group. I lived on Summit Avenue in Newark, and we were looking for a name, and I looked out the corner, and I saw Summit Avenue, and I thought of a logo, how we can just do, the M's would be mountains, and that could be our summit. So that's actually, where that came from. And then when I started Visual Computer Solutions, I wanted something a little bit cooler. So we're going to call it VisiCom. But that didn't take off, so we kept it Visual Computer Solutions. And then I got the bug in just being self-employed. And from that point on, it was like, we have to make this happen. So in 2001, I did the very mature thing that any young father would do with 2 kids, brand new mortgage, and a wife that didn't work. I quit my job and started the company. So I had this little need to make it a success. 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, 35-year-old, and a brand new mortgage. So, and I loved it every second. I love working with you guys, and that's probably what keeps me going every single day. Even when you call and yell at me, I just figure I can fix this. This is no problem.